Good morning, students. Hope you are all doing well. We are in the last chapter of class 10th history, that is nationalism in India. In the last few video sessions, we studied about non-cooperation movement in towns, cities, in the estates, that is tea estates, and non-cooperation movement in the Gudem Hills of Andhra Pradesh. We also studied about Rowlatt Act and resulted in the most exploitative example, or the example of infamous Jallianwala Bagh massacre by General Dyer. We also studied about the events which took place from non-cooperation movement till Dandi March. Non-cooperation movement 1922, it was withdrawn because of violence in Chauri Chaura. The Chauri Chaura incident is responsible for withdrawal of non-cooperation movement by Mahatma Gandhi. Now let us move further with the topic of Salt Satyagraha, Dandi March, and the civil disobedience movement. Salt March and the civil disobedience movement. Why Salt March is important? Because this is the first example where Gandhiji started his initiation of civil disobedience movement. Civil disobedience movement is nothing but opposing the law passed by the British. That is what civil disobedience movement. When the British increased the tax on the salt, Gandhiji felt that this is the right time to oppose the law passed by the British, because salt is very essential commodity for every person. Not only that, it got a lot of emotional attachment. That's the reason why Gandhiji felt salt, the law passed by the British which banned manufacturing and selling of salt by the Indians. So Gandhiji felt this law should be opposed. That's the reason why Salt March started by Gandhiji. Mahatma Gandhi found salt as a powerful symbol that could unite the nation. On January 1930, he sent a letter to Viceroy Lord Irwin stating 11 demands. So this is what the later 1931, that is Gandhi-Irwin Pact. So Gandhiji sent a letter to Viceroy Lord Irwin stating 11 demands from the Indian National Congress. Some of these were general interest and others were very specific different demands of different class. Means class in the sense farmers, industrialists, all those things. So from industrialists and from the farmers or peasants. The idea was to make demand wide ranging so that all class within Indian society could identify with them and everyone could be brought together and united campaign. So that was the idea of Mahatma Gandhi. The most important demand was to abolish salt tax. The salt was something consumed by rich and poor alike, and it was one of most essential item of food. Tax on the salt, tax on the salt, and the government's monopoly. Now, what is called monopoly? Monopoly is nothing but a single ownership. That is called monopoly. Means only government can produce the salt. That is what monopoly. So monopoly over the production, that means only the British government can produce or manufacture salt. So manufacturing of salt was entrusted to the British government or the company government, and the tax was increased. So Gandhiji felt that it is the most oppressive phase of the British rule, because since the salt is the most essential commodity. Mahatma Gandhi's letter was in a way an ultimatum, or the 11 demands which served Mahatma Gandhi to Lord Irwin, Viceroy Irwin, that was not a request, that is just like ultimatum. You have to, Lord Irwin has to, or the company government has to listen, otherwise we will disobey the rule. If the demands were not fulfilled by March 11, the letter stated the Congress would launch civil disobedience campaign. So Mahatma Gandhi said, if the 11 demands were not met, then definitely Indian National Congress will go for civil disobedience campaign. Irwin was unwilling to negotiate, but Viceroy Lord Irwin was not happy, because they don't want to reduce their income source, which is generated from taxing on the people. So Mahatma Gandhi started his famous salt march by 78 his trusted volunteers. The march was over 240 miles from Sabarmati ashram to coastal place called Dandi. That's the reason it is called as Dandi March. So Gandhiji started the salt satyagraha or salt march, because Sabarmati is a place where Gandhiji's ashram is there. From ashram to Dandi, because you have to manufacturing salt means you have to reach to the coastal place. That's the reason why Gandhiji started his march from Sabarmati to coastal place called Dandi. With how many volunteers? Only 78 volunteers. The volunteers walked for 24 days, about 10 miles per day. Okay, so every day the volunteers walked nearly 10 miles, and like that they walked 24 days. And finally, Gandhiji started march with how many people? Hardly 78. But later thousands came here. Gandhiji, whenever he stopped and told that them what meant by Swaraj, and urged peaceful to defy the British. So remember the date, on 6th April 1930. On 6th April 1930, I repeat, on 6th April 1930, Gandhiji reached Dandi. Ceremonially, Gandhiji violated the law. How he violated the law? He violated the law by manufacturing salt, because manufacturing of salt was not allowed to the Indians. So Gandhiji manufactured salt by boiling seawater. This marked the beginning of civil disobedience movement. So civil disobedience movement started with Gandhiji violation of salt law passed by the British. How was this movement different from non-cooperation movement? Now, how Dandi March was different from non-cooperation movement? Because non-cooperation was not violating the law. It is just opposing the law silently. But civil disobedience movement was nothing but disobeying the law. That is why it is called civil disobedience. That's why it is different from the non-cooperation movement. So this is the picture of Dandi march. You can see Mahatma Gandhi marching towards Dandi from Sabarmati Ashram. Along with him, you can see lot of supporters of Mahatma Gandhi. So Mahatma Gandhi's Dandi march became so popular that created fear in the minds of the British. As a result, Viceroy Lord Irwin was forced to negotiate. I repeat, Viceroy Lord Irwin was forced to negotiate with the Mahatma Gandhi. That is what later Gandhi-Irwin Pact. They had done but also to break laws. Thousands in different parts of the country broke the salt law, manufactured salt, and demonstration was done in front of government salt factories. As movement spread, the foreign clothes were boycotted, liquor shops were picketed, peasants refused to pay the revenue, Chowkidari tax, and village officials resigned, and in many forest places the forest laws were violated and going into reserve forest to collect and graze tax. Now what happened? You see the implication of this. Implication of this was so terrible for the British, because British stopped Indians from entering forest. That is what forest law, which you studied in class 9. Now, as a part of civil disobedience, several Indians, means forest dwellers or the tribals, they started entering forest to collect firewood and even take their cattle for grazing. So it's a violation of forest law. Peasants or the farmers, they refused to pay the land revenue, and they also refused to pay the police tax or Chowkidari tax to the British government. Foreign clothes were boycotted, liquor shops were picketed. So imagine the impact of civil disobedience movement. It was heavy on the British related to financial issues, because British major target was on trade, but the trade was banned. Now Indians boycotted the British trade in the form of foreign clothes, liquor shops, paying from revenue, Chowkidari tax and all. So all these situations, why all these situations are explained? Because these are the situations which are responsible for Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Worried by the development, the colonial government began to arresting Congress leaders one by one. This led to the violent clash in many places. Abdul Ghaffar Khan, a devout disciple of Mahatma Gandhi, was arrested in 1930. The angry crowd demonstrated in the streets of Peshawar. Abdul Ghaffar Khan, popularly known as Frontier Gandhi. So the British started arresting the major leaders of Congress, so that the British wanted to control the civil disobedience movement. A month later, Mahatma Gandhi himself was arrested. The industrial workers in Solapur were attacked. Police posts and municipal buildings and law courts and railway stations, all structures that symbolized the British, were all attacked. A frightened government responded with the policy of brutal repression. Now, what is the government policy? What government has done is the policy of repression. Repression is nothing but forceful punishment, as well as forcefully creating terror in the minds of the peaceful, in the minds of the protesters. Peaceful satyagrahis were attacked, women and children were beaten, and about 1 lakh people were arrested. So British took harsh or repressive action, so that they wished to control the non civil disobedience movement. That is the reason why they felt there is a need to control the civil disobedience movement, because it was very heavy from the Indians towards the British. You can see how the police people, they beating the satyagrahis in the year 1930. In such a situation, Mahatma Gandhi once again decided to call off this movement and enter the pact, that is Gandhi-Irwin Pact. So whenever we are seen in the non-cooperation movement also, when the non-cooperation movement was in the peak, Gandhiji withdrawn non-cooperation movement because the non-cooperation movement turned into violence. When it turned into violence, naturally the very purpose of non-cooperation movement, that is, it should be done with the non-violent method, was defeated. That's the reason why Gandhiji withdrawn non-cooperation movement after the incident of Champaran movement. Now, in 1931, Gandhiji entered an agreement with Lord Irwin. So this is famously known as Gandhi-Irwin Pact of 1931. By this Gandhi-Irwin Pact, Gandhiji agreed to participate in Round Table Conference. Round Table Conference is nothing but a conference in which the British called Gandhiji to negotiate, that is in London. The government agrees to release political prisoners. Who are the political prisoners here? Political prisoners are those people who were arrested by the British government in the course of civil disobedience movement. In December 1931, Gandhiji went to London to attend Round Table Conference. But the negotiations broke down and he returned disappointed because Gandhiji was not happy with the terms and conditions of Round Table Conference. As a result, the negotiation could not be successful. Back in India, he discovered that the government has begun a new cycle of repression. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan and Nehru both were in jail. Congress had been declared illegal. Indian National Congress was declared as illegal by the British government. With a great apprehension, Gandhiji relaunched the civil disobedience movement for over a year. The movement continued till 1934, but after that it lost its momentum. But the civil disobedience movement is considered as the most successful movement of Mahatma Gandhi before the launch of Quit India movement. Now, how participants saw, thus we studied about how participants saw the non-cooperation movement, the same way how the participants saw the civil disobedience movement. Let us now look at the different social groups and that participated in civil disobedience movement. Why did they join this movement and what were their ideas? What did Swaraj mean to them? In the countryside, a rich peasant community like Patidars and Jats of Uttar Pradesh, Patidars of Gujarat, Jats of Uttar Pradesh were very active in the movement. Being producers of commercial crops, they were very hard hit by the trade depression and falling of prices because they were producing the commercial crops which are generally used for the purpose of production of industrial requirement. But because of non-cooperation movement, the industrial production was gone down very badly. So that's the reason why these farmers face the problem. As their cash income disappeared, they found it impossible to pay the government's revenue demand. as a refusal of the government to reduce the revenue demand led to the widespread resentment. The rich peasant became enthusiastic supporters of civil disobedience movement, organizing their communities, and the times forcing reluctant members to participate in the boycott program. For them, the fight for Swaraj was struggle against the high revenue. So, what is Swaraj for them? Fighting against high tax imposed by the British. But they were deeply disappointed when Gandhiji called off the civil disobedience movement in 1931 without the revenue rate being revised. So, when the movement restarted in 1932, many refused to join the movement because they felt that their demands are not met or considered by the Congress as well as by the British or the colonial government. This is about the rich farmers. Now let us see what about the poor farmers. Poor peasantries were not just interested in lowering the revenue demand. Many of them were small tenants cultivating land and had a rented landlords. As the depression continued and cash income dwindled, the same tenants found it difficult to pay their rents. They wanted the unpaid rent to the landlord to be remitted. They joined a variety of radical movements, often led by socialists and the communist people. So, socialists and the communist people, they led lot of movements in India. Apprehensive rising issues that might upset with the rich peasants and landlords, the Congress was unwilling to support no rent campaign in most of the places. So, the relationship between poor farmers and the Congress remained uncertain because farmers felt that the Indian National Congress was not supporting them. That's why farmers felt it is not good to continue with the non-cooperation movement. Then what about the business class? How did they relate civil disobedience movement? During the First World War, Indian merchants and industrialists made a huge profit because of became very powerful. Why? Because all the industrial productions in England was stopped because they started converting agro-based industry into war-based industries. That's the reason why Indian industrial productions had a huge demand in other places. That's why they made a profit. They now reacted against the colonial policies of restricted business activities. They wanted protection against the imports and foreign goods. So Indian traders wanted what? Foreign goods should not enter Indian market, so that Indian rupee and foreign exchange will always stable. That's why what they do, they have to discourage imports, or they should reduce bringing goods from the other countries. To organize business interests, they found the Industrialist and Commercial Congress in 1920. They started FICCI, that is called the Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Please write down all these points because there is a 1 mark question. So, the Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries was established in the year 1927. Even today, FICCI is very, very powerful organization. So, the FICCI or Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries was set up in the year 1927. Led the prominent industrialist Purushottam Das Thakur Das, G.D. Birla. Maybe G.D. Birla name is very familiar to you. The industrialists attacked the colonial control of the Indian company and supported civil disobedience movement. So civil disobedience movement was supported by the industrialists because they felt that the Indian industries will grow up or gain the momentum because of the movement. So they gave the final assistance and refused to buy or sell imported goods. Most business came to see Swaraj as a time when colonial restrictions on business would no longer exist. The trade and industries would flourish without constraints. But after failure of Round Table Conference, the business groups were no longer uniformly enthusiastic because the Round Table Conference was failed because the Gandhiji and British could not arrive at a common conclusion. As a result, all these industrialists also lost interest in continuing civil disobedience movement. They were apprehensive of the spread of militant activities and worried about prolonged disruptions of business, as well as growing influence of socialism among the young members of the Congress. Now, few members of Indian National Congress started supporting communist ideas. That's the reason why the British, the Indian National Congress was unhappy with the young leaders of Indian National Congress. Another important feature of civil disobedience movement was a large-scale participation of women during Gandhiji's Salt March. Thousands of women came out from their home to listen to him. They participated in protest and manufacturing of salt, picketed foreign clothes and liquor shops. They went to jail in urban areas. Women were from high caste, and in the rural areas, women came from the rich peasant households. Moved by Gandhiji's call, they began to see service to the nation as a sacred duty. What you have to understand, you have to compare is that what you have to compare here is that more importance was given to the women's participation in the freedom movement. Like in the same thing happened in the European countries also, because women's participation was encouraged in European countries also. Yet increase the public role necessarily mean any radical change in the way of position of women was visualized. Gandhiji was convinced that it was a duty of women to look after home and health, be good mothers and be good wives. And for a long time, Congress was reluctant to allow women to hold any position of authority within organization. It was keen only in their symbolic presence. Okay, these are the few pictures related to civil disobedience movement. Now please write down this point. Important dates: 1819 to 19, UP peasants organized by Baba Ramachandra, lately popularly known as Sannyasi movement. 1919, Gandhiji Hartal against Rowlatt Act led to the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Non-cooperation and Khilafat movement was launched in 1921. 1922, Chauri Chaura incident, Gandhiji withdrew non-cooperation movement. 1924, Alluri Sitaram Raju arrested, ending 2 years of armed tribal struggle. Alluri Sitaram Raju was a mystical leader who people believed that is an incarnation of God. Lahore session of Indian National Congress. Lahore Congress adopted demand for Purna Swaraj in the year 1929. 1929 Lahore session of Indian National Congress adopted what? Purna Swaraj. 1930 Ambedkar established, that is, Depressed Class Association in the year 1930. Gandhiji began civil disobedience movement by breaking salt law in the year 1930. Gandhiji began civil disobedience movement by breaking the law. Gandhiji ends civil disobedience movement 1931, that is Gandhi Event Pact, and second round table conference in 1931, the relaunching of civil disobedience movement in 1932. So please make a note of all these important points, events, because very important 1 mark questions you can expect from these events. Take care. I'll meet you in the next class. Thank you.